everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you are having a wonderful day. Today's video is our updated dressage training. Now, if you've seen our last video, you would have seen that we have finally booked our first competition of 2022 and first competition in 4 years. The yard where we are at the moment has very kindly also offered to take us and come with for the day, which would be amazing. I just love support like that. So that's going to be a really exciting day out. It's in the middle of March, and yes, it will be documented. Ringo is going amazingly at the moment. I feel like the jumping training is really helping him. It's really straightened him up. It's got him off of my right rein. So Ringo's kind of fault is he hangs quite a lot on the right rein. So with, added straightness from having to go into a jump straight, getting his 6 weekly massages and having his teeth done recently, everything's changed. He is dead straight. He's not hanging on either rein. I mean, he's still like a little bit weaker on his, that way. Is that his right rein? So yeah, he's a little bit weaker on his right rein? Right rein, but everything is straightening up and becoming a lot more fluent and correct on both ways, which is amazing. And it just so happened that a couple of days ago we had the most amazing training session. I got off beaming, and if I didn't book a competition there and then, I would once again have talked myself out of it like I have for the last few months. So hoping the weather will be a little bit more sunny like it is today, not too cold. It's just starting to warm up a little bit, isn't it, in March? And it's kind of like, in my opinion, the perfect time to compete. I kept talking myself out of it all of last summer. I was like, it's too hot, then it was too cold, but I just got to get on and do it. It doesn't matter if I win, doesn't matter if I lose, it doesn't matter if he's a nightmare, which he won't be a nightmare, but who cares? It's a fun day out. We're going to have fun. There's no pressure. We're going to BD, so you might be thinking, there's a little bit of pressure doing it affiliated. I have to be a little bit careful with a stallion more so than a normal horse, as in normal horses and mares and geldings, just in case of loose horses. And yes, people at affiliated levels still come off and whatever, but I try to take as many precautions as I can to keep myself and Ringo as safe as possible the whole way throughout. So we are going affiliated. We've got 2 novice tests. He is training higher than novice at home. He's probably at the higher end of elementary at the moment, doing some movements from other categories, but I don't want to overwhelm ourselves, does that make sense? I don't want to overwhelm us or ourselves, whichever one works. And I just want to, I haven't even learned to test in years, so I'm probably going to get them read out anyway, because I am very much out of practice, but I want to try and remember them as much as I can. So we've got, I think, novice 24 and novice 38, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's the 2 novices that we're doing. Is one in the like the low 20s and one in the high 30s anyway. And yes, we've got to the middle of March to train and get ready. His jumping training is going amazing, and I have a little bit of a jumping update as well. I filmed the full video yesterday. Well, I thought I filmed the full video yesterday, and I had a camera malfunction, so I actually haven't got any clips. Well, I have got clips on my phone, but nothing like, professional, of Ringo jumping a metre. So our show jumping instructor / trainer, Mark Hallion, who also owns and runs the yard with his wife Claire, he's been schooling Ringo with his jumping sessions. I think it makes a lot more sense for Ringo to be more confident and learn quicker than me, potentially, because we're both novices with jumping. And we're both kind of going into them with our eyes shut, like, oh no, we can't do it. And because I'm thinking, oh no, we can't do it, he's then going, okay, no, we can't do it. And I mean, it wasn't a car crash, it was absolutely fine. People, horses stop all the time, and especially like when they're first like learning and whatever. But I just feel like one bad stop, I mean, no one's ever fallen off of Ringo, and I just think, something like that's probably going to knock both of our confidences, and it's just not worth it. We're both having, I don't know what's going on with my hands today, but we're both having so much fun jumping, and it's, it's such a good sideline for us both to have, something different to concentrate on and have fun with. And for that reason, there is absolutely no reason in, knocking either of our confidences, just for jumping a little bit higher or jumping too soon or jumping too much from what we can manage at the moment. So I just think, one of us has to be that one step ahead to teach the other. And I'm not the most confident rider. I mean, I'm not like a non-confident rider, but I'm not super gun-ho, so I'm not going to feel particularly confident riding, a show jumper that's been there and done it and has competed and is like always pop bang, flies into the fences, flies big fences. I don't want to learn on a professional jumper, I want to learn on Ringo. So I feel like a professional show jumper is better to teach Ringo and then Ringo teach me. So that's kind of the way we're going. I'm actually going to include a few photos of yesterday's session and a little bit of the introduction of yesterday, because I did have a really nice introduction and I had some products to show you that we are now using when we jump. So I will leave that in here. So there's a little bit of the jumping lesson going into this video, but not very much because I didn't get very much of it. Ringo is also jumping in a jumping saddle at the moment. So I personally don't have one at the moment. I'm being lent one by the the yard, and he's jumping in a Voltaire saddle. And then to carry on with his new jumping career, the loveliest brand that I've worked with many times before, the wonderful Montar UK, also known as the House of Montar, have sent Ringo the most beautiful jumping pad ever, which I'm about to share with you. We really are all the gear and no idea at the moment. But how stunning is this saddle pad? So this is one of their deluxe pads. They also do this in the dressage cut. They have pinks and blues and baby pinks and dark blues, and they have so many different colours. But these saddle pads are beautiful. The underneath looks like this, so it's non-slip. It's not like a shiny like the front of it, so I can't kind of see this going anywhere, which is really, really great. It's got a lovely mesh breathable panel at the through the middle as well, which is beautiful. It also has the Montar logo here, and also again up here in this is like a sticky logo, which is hopefully going to also help keep that saddle in place. I have that on the other side as well. This is such a beautiful saddle pad, so thank you so much, House of Montar, for sending this over. I'm absolutely thrilled with this. This is going to be Ringo's first time trying it on and wearing it. I'm hoping to get some photos as well over the weekend, but I just thought for this video he'd as well have his new saddle pad on and look like a little superstar going over the jumps. Okay guys, so Ringo has just tried on his new saddle pad. Look how much it suits his colouring. Oh my god, he actually looks stunning with it. This is the most beautiful saddle pad. You can see it a little bit better in this lighting as well. So this is like the silicone grip, and it's on both sides, so again it'll just help keep that saddle in place. That is the mesh middle bit. That's the underneath. That's the Montar logo, which is in like a bit of a champagne colour, which complements the ivory beautifully. Let me see how good the lighting is the other side, because I can get further back the other side. Oh Dingo, look at you glow! So this is him with his little jumping saddle on for the day. Looks so smart with a little jumping saddle on. Bless him. Before you watch that, Ringo ended up jumping a metre yesterday, and he was jumping really wide as well. I was like filming it like, oh my god, I'm like such a proud mum. It was amazing. So Mark literally did the most incredible job with Ringo this week. He didn't stop at a fence, he didn't look at a fence, he didn't knock a fence. Oh my god, for nearly an hour straight. I think we left it at about 50 minutes because he'd done such a good job. We didn't want to tire him out, and we wanted him to just have a really good, fun and confidence building session. It was amazing. It was, oh my god, it was the most amazing thing to watch. I'm so gutted that you guys can't see it, because he didn't look at anything, and he jumped everything with confidence. He didn't even kind of go into the fence and slow down to think, oh, I can't do it. He my god, it was me letting the side down. So that's the jumping update. Dressage update, obviously we've got the competition booked. He's training amazingly at home. I mean, obviously day to day it can differ. Horses, aren't going to wake up, same as riders aren't going to wake up every day and be the exact same and just as good as the day before. He has been ridden for 2 days on the trot now, not hard sessions. Obviously his jumping session was a bit harder yesterday, and the day before he had a bit of a stretchy session. I picked him up for about 10 minutes, but he's not going to be ridden now for the next 2 days after this. So I am going to ride him today just so he can have 2 days off and really enjoy his 2 days off. So yeah, I mean, hopefully today's training session goes as well as what it usually does. I mean, it never really, goes the same way you want to the second you get the camera out or you have people watching, something always happens, typical horses. But that is the kind of the aim of the game. We've started doing flying changes, and I've never been taught to do them. He's never been taught to do them. If you were here during Vlogmas, you would have seen me have a schoolmaster lesson on a very beautiful dressage pony or horse called Tuna. Tuna was kind of very push button, you put your leg one way and he does whatever you're asking him to do, so he's fully trained. So, when I was told what to do with the flying change, I didn't really have to do very much with it, and the horse knew what to do. But that was the first ever flying changes I had ever ridden, and I came home and I thought, oh, for fun, I'll have a go on Ringo, why not? Ringo did it first time. So we've kind of been slowly building it from there, because he's quite a good anticipator, and I'll probably talk more about this once I get on. But he's very good at anticipating, and he gets quite uptight sometimes. So if I'm doing a lot of canter, walk, canter, he can be a little bit joggy. So I then go off and I do something different for a bit. So I've really slowly started encouraging them, into our training routine. The other day we were going across and we were doing amazingly, and I thought, oh, I'll just try for some 3-time changes across the middle. Never done them before. He's never done them, I've never done them. He did them. It was pretty amazing. I didn't actually realise anybody was watching us. And Mark came round afterwards, he's like, oh my god, those flying changes. I was like, oh my god, no way. So we're just lying around. It's like, you know, when you don't know what something looks like on the ground, and it could look like absolute garbage, you don't know. But he didn't need to say that, so they're obviously looking all right. So I thought today we'd film all that for you guys. The sun is shining, fingers crossed the sun carries on shining. My brother's girlfriend Tony is coming to film today. She filmed my last jumping lesson that you would have seen, and I actually thought her videography was pretty damn good. So she's coming in today to film again. As I say, hopefully the sun keeps shining, because it just makes the lighting and everything just so much better, I think, when the sun shines. So fingers crossed for the sun. And on that note, guys, I will see you at the yard.
Oh.
And then, there we go. So guys, there's somebody else riding in the arena today, so I think what I probably will be ending up doing is doing a voiceover instead of talking, but we'll see how we get on. Hello everybody, it's me over on the voiceover. It was actually really busy, as you can see, in the school today, and I get stage fright, so I didn't talk, and also for some strange reason my mic didn't work. However, it was sat at a very awkward place on my collarbone and it's left one hell of a bruise, so that was worthwhile in taking with me today. However, I'm going to run you through everything that you kind of see today over on the voiceovers. So the first thing that you can see is Ringo stretching. Now, Ringo's a little bit older now, he's 15 this year, and even if he wasn't, regardless, he does dressage and, strenuous movements sometimes, and I think it's so important for all horses to, it doesn't matter really what kind of sphere you ride in as such. I really believe in stretching first, so I do about 5 minutes stretching in walk and 5 minutes stretching in trot, and then I do a little bit of canter, like a nice forward canter as opposed to collected, just to kind of warm him up and loosen him up over his back. Then I pick him up and we crack on with our session. And what you can see me doing here is popping my earpods in, because I've recently started riding to music as well. I just put on Hot Hits UK from Spotify, and I actually really enjoy riding to a rhythm, and I find it really helps us get a really good rhythm and gets everything a little bit bouncier, and it's also enjoyable. I love music, I drive to music, I clean to music, I wash up to music, so the fact that we can ride to music is super pleasurable as such, and maybe the wrong word to use, enjoyable, that's probably the right word to use in that one. So yeah, I just pop on Hot Hits UK, have a little bit of a dance as I ride, and yeah, I don't know, it makes a difference. I feel like it makes a difference hugely. So as you can see, we're now trotting on a loose rein. He sometimes hollows a little bit on his loose reins and trot if there's other horses in the yard, in the school, sorry, just because he's concentrating on other things, being a stallion, and spring's coming slightly in the air at the moment, so, you know, he hollows every now and then, but he does love his stretching sessions, as we can see of where I want him to stay. So my hands are a little bit lower to encourage him to stretch at this point. Nice loose reins again to encourage him to take a contact down with his head near the floor. So I ended up cutting a little bit out of the stretching because it can be a bit boring. So I'm beginning to pick him up now, and the first thing that I really like to do once I pick him up is do lots of walk-trot transitions. We've got a dressage test, obviously, and there's lots of transitions in a dressage test, and, you know, we want to make sure that they're nice and smooth and he's not hollowing in his transitions, which, you know, first couple he does, which is all, you know, it's so important to do that in your warm-up at competitions as well, and kind of get that tenseness out the way first if you can. So that there was a much better transition. He was a lot softer. Here we can see he's arguing a little bit, but, you know, comes soft as soon as he gets into walk. So it's just encouraging him to keep soft and remain soft through those transitions. And that there was a much lovelier upward transition. Kind of keeping him nice and collected in the trot and as soft in the reins as I possibly can, with a nice even contact. So I also like to do lots of circles when I first get on, and once we've started picking up as well, it loosens him, you know, all through his body and gets him nice and bendy. This is his worst rein, so he struggles on this rein. This is the rein he hangs on the inside rein a bit, and he falls out his outside shoulder, which I'm sure you guys can see in a second. So here I open up my inside rein to create the bend, and I support him with my outside leg to help or prevent that shoulder from falling out as much as I can. I start off with a bit of a 15-metre circle, and I bring them in a little bit, and here I've done 2, and I'm going straight for a while just to keep him straight and re-straighten him up, you know, forgetting about bending, and then we get to see, and I do another one. You know, he's arguing a little bit on the rein there, not quite through. There we go, that's better, and that's a much better circle, and it's just trying to keep him in the same bend the whole way round. I do 2 or 3 in the same position, and then I kind of allow him to forget about it and carry on nice and straight. I also think it's quite important to change my rhythm, so, you know, I'll do a few strides collected, a few strides slightly more forward, as you can see here. And again, it just kind of keeps him concentrating. He's very easily persuaded otherwise and concentrates on other things. So, you know, he's not got to make a noise, and he's not spooky or anything like that, but he's like, oh, what's over there? I'm now going to forget all about contact for 2 minutes. So, you know, by switching things up all the time with Ringo, it keeps him occupied and keeps his kind of head in the game. Again, more circles. Changing the size of them, going bigger and smaller, lots of changes of rein. And I also have lots of rests because, you know, he isn't the fittest of all. When he's done something well, like he's just done some lovely trot work, I gave him his head for a little while and allowed him to stretch. Switching it up a little bit now and going large or slightly larger. I'm watching it as I'm recording and I'm like, well, maybe I didn't go the full way large. But we're bending lots of jumps and, you know, keeping it nice and fun for Ringo, even though, you know, I'm asking him to do some nice work. So back there you can see him resisting a little bit here, so I'm just kind of giving a little tiny bit of rein just for self-carriage and to encourage him to not hang for a second and carry himself. Now this transition, I remember doing, this is our first canter transition of the session, and I remember being so proud of it. In this canter, this is our first canter, so, you know, as I say, I like it to be a little bit more forward, not completely tied in and on the bridle. You know, he's kind of got his head and he's kind of in a self-carriage, which again, really important, I find, for him to just warm up and, you know, get all of his muscles and joints moving without kind of worrying too much about anything else. Little walk after the first canter.
Yeah.
Me gossiping as per usual. What's new? So for our first canter transition on the other rein, I did a little walk to canter, of which that was very fluent and very impressive actually for our first walk to canter this session. It's actually our walks that we struggle with, which I touch on at the end a little bit. We haven't actually done them in quite a while, so they were a little bit sticky to start with, but it's definitely something that we need to keep working on. We nailed them about a month ago, and then because he anticipates quite a lot, which I'll talk about in a second as well, I left them for a while to kind of forget about so that we can, redo them and keep everything fun and nice for him. Otherwise, a little bit of a sensitive chap when you get light and sensitive, and he worries when he does things wrong, so we move on from every now and then come back to it after a while. So we're doing kind of different size canter circles. This is our worst rein. Lots of trot canter transitions as well, because as I say, he gets a little bit sticky in his canter walk, so I try to make him forget those and do canter trot instead, and again just keep them as fluent and as unhollow as possible. So as we can see, his canter's been picked up a little bit more. He's a bit more collected, and he's kind of doing his thing now. I'm pretty sure in a minute I have a go at a few flying changes. There we go, so that was our first one. So again, it's a little bit sticky, it's our first and I did it on a bit of a, not that I can speak, I did it on a bit of a weird bend because it kind of gave him less time to think about it and think, woohoo, we're off, off across diagonal, let's go as fast as we can. With flying changes, you've got to be nice and collected, so by doing it on a bend, not quite expecting, for the first one, it kind of just reminds him of what we're doing and what I'm expecting. Also, I'm not a professional, so whatever I'm saying, if it's complete garbage and you're sort of thinking, what is she going on about? I'm not a professional instructor. I'm just kind of running you through what I personally do with Ringo. Everything you see here is, fully taught. So that was another flying change. We kind of missed it a tiny bit there. We had like about half a stride of trot, but that doesn't matter. We're not superstars, and he takes a little while to warm up to it. So we're now coming back around to do it on the other side. There's jumps in the middle as well, which kind of made the diagonal a bit more difficult. We're having to kind of bend and go through kind of skinny gaps, which, he's not the best at bending. That was a little bit better. There we go. I get a nice pat. That was quite a nice flying change. There was no trot. It was like a, straight into it. He wasn't tight either. Going across to this one. There we go, a tiny bit of trot, but we almost nearly crashed, so that's kind of why. It was difficult today because the jumps were so far in the middle. Usually they're a lot better when we've got more of a gap and more of a kind of space and time to concentrate on them. That one was awful, but we still give him a pat anyway because, there was another horse coming across, so he lost his concentration. And also to remember, this is what training is all about. It's about making mistakes and, correcting them and not being mad when they don't go correctly, because this is what training at home is all about. It's about making mistakes. That one was a really, really good one, so I gave him a good pat and a lovely stretch, and he had a nice stretch after this as well. And I didn't touch flying changes until the very end, and I just had a couple of plays at the very end with them. But we kind of forgot about them at this point, and, he's done a really, really great job, and, fantastic Ringo. 5-minute break done and dusted with, and we're now kind of picking him up and going into some canter walk canters. Now this is where he really anticipates, so it takes a while for him to get into the groove of doing this, but once he's kind of picked them up, they're absolutely amazing. But again, it's really, really hot. He's already starting to get a little bit sweaty, and this is the third day on the trot, he's been ridden, so he was a little bit more stiff today, and so we didn't really do too many. I didn't get up or get cross at all. Whatever he couldn't do, we couldn't do today. We gave it a go, and in my opinion, he's still going very, very well today. Something you may also notice sometimes, he wasn't doing it then, but just in case you notice it at all during this video, is he sometimes does a really weird thing with his head where he literally sticks it to the side. That's just kind of avoiding the bridle and avoiding going straight if we can. He does this really strange thing with his head, but it's not like a weird thing. Well, it is a weird thing. It's basically a Ringo thing. So here, in preparation for some walk to canters and canter walks, I was just really trying to collect the canter as much as I could, keeping it bouncy, but as much collected as I possibly could, without him kind of rushing into them as much as I possibly can, because he is a little bit of a rusher. I think it's a Welsh thing. Tries to get everything over and done with as quickly as he can. He really struggles to collect, so it's something that we're taking super slowly and, taking every day as it comes. And the fact that he's collected enough to start doing flying changes is amazing. And that there, as we see, that was pretty much a perfect, near enough walk to canter. Oh no, canter walk, sorry. So getting there. He's definitely getting there. There we go. That's the funny thing he does with his head, as we can see. So it's just avoid going straight. So back straight again now. And at that point, it's quite difficult as a rider to kind of not take the rein as much as I can to kind of stop him doing it. But, as some of us know, it's not about gripping on the hand, it's about driving through the leg, and that doesn't mean kicking, it means, riding from behind as such. So, it comes from the body and my leg as opposed to my hands to keep him straight and off of my rein. So that again, it's quite a difficult thing to do. Here we go, we're getting quite sticky with our walk to canter. As you can see, he gets quite uptight. Not me getting uptight, he gets uptight because he doesn't like getting wrong, and this is something he actually really struggles with. So it's something I take my absolute time with, and I praise him when he gets it right, and I don't do anything when he gets it wrong because it's absolutely not his fault whatsoever. And if he gets super agitated, then I just give him a little scratch just to say, not to worry, Ringo, you're doing a really good job. So he did a couple of there, and I'm just giving him a little rest before going again on the other rein. And apologies if I'm babbling on, but we all know me, I am a babbler. So this is our better rein and more collected rein, because obviously if he's stronger in his right rein, I have more outside rein on this rein, which makes life so much easier because he's straighter. I think we could see we're getting a little bit crabby then. He's like, oh, I'm bored of this now. And as you see, he's getting a little bit strong there. He was like, no, can't do it today. Not today, Mum, not today. And when he gets like this, I try my absolute hardest to ride it as well as I can, to just do one really good one. I give him that and we move on. But I kind of almost won't stop until we get one that's nearly perfect, just so he doesn't learn any bad habits, but just so he doesn't sour to it, if that makes sense. So there we go, he did a really, really good one. I gave him a pat. We go back into canter for a nice canter walk. That was actually quite a canter going around there. Falling slightly out through his outside shoulder then. And he's obviously not done it as well as what I want, because I'm continually going. Oh no, we're doing a change. There we go. I did leave it at that one. There we go. I thought I probably would have done. A couple of flying changes to finish, I think. There we go. I'm slightly getting off of that inside rein there. As we can see, he's doing something extremely strange with his neck, as he usually always does. And because he did it, even though it wasn't the straightest flying change, and he was kind of putting his neck everywhere, I could kind of just about tell that he had enough today. He was tired, he'd done such an amazing job. So I was hot, he was hot, and we called it a day. It was a fantastic training session. He went amazingly, and okay, it wasn't as good as 2 days ago because he's ridden, 3 days on the trot now, and he's a little bit tired. But it was just, I couldn't have asked any more from him today. So he gets a big pat and a nice cool down for about 5 minutes in a nice loose rein, and then it's back in for his halo. That's me finished on the voiceover now, guys. Sorry if I rambled too much. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I don't know why I keep going subscribe up here when subscribe is down here. Subscribe. But don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Click the like button, please, if you did enjoy this video, and I really look forward to seeing you in my next one. Have a fantastic day.